So, what's with the pardons? I understand that it was a power given to monarchs, popes, hundreds of years ago, coming out of a society that believed that there was an anointed king who talked to God and who could therefore say that the decision of the mere secular court was irrelevant. That's the root of it. My first problem in researching it is that the first top articles on page 1 are all saturated with this untrammeled adulation for the founding fathers and the Constitution of the United States. Now, it's Google, and there's, but it means that for the first page anyway, you are not reading a critique, you're reading propaganda. I think it's perfectly fine. Humanity's done this since the get-go, to take a group of ancestors and decide that they were the ones who changed the world. We have the original model in the creation, the 6 days, 7 days. And then we have another one around about 1776. It's fine. It's a Disney movie. It's ludicrous, especially considering what in fact happened. The founding of a slave state, at least, and the continued genocide of the people who lived in the country that was supposed to have no people in it. Also, that Europe could cleanse itself and create a more perfect, it's just what Elon Musk would do on Mars. God help the Martians. There was a quote early on, Madison, I believe. We'd likely not always have such a virtuous man as George Washington as president, end quote. That is his caution against the pardon power. And it also reflects a view of humanity that has not served us well. This is how we saw Catholic priests. But since we made the hero of a founder who fathered with a slave children to whom he could not be married legally, maybe Madison makes my different view of humanity point. Now, by the way, I have no reason at all to dislike these founder men. I don't think I would have liked them. I wouldn't have hung with them. They seemed a sententious, rather boring lot from what I've read. Very, very much in love with their own voices, I'm sure. One or two, Franklin probably would have been a great raconteur, for which I forgive many things. Diligent, industrious, virtuous, if the biographies are believed, because it's less so on the evidence. I don't dislike them, but I think their justification in one way and the ancient biblical patriarch portrayal are damaging and disgusting and do them, the real men, no good at all. As far as I can get, as far as I can tell, as far as I have got, the president was a national hero. Washington most assuredly was. He won the war, and perhaps as the hero, mythology has faded, so have the pardons, as we see them more realistically. So that's good. There are other divinities that keep on hedging this kinglet, though, sustained by a hero need, which is the crucial point that drags on. Quote, unhappy the land that has no hero, says Galileo's assistant in the Brecht play. Galileo responds, quote, no, Andrea, unhappy the land that needs a hero. Brecht was Marxist. Or T.H. White says of Lancelot that he is mostly crippled with insecurity and self-disgust because he knows himself, and his heroism is compensation, it's a front. I like my hero's Achilles style, anger management issues, honest, like I like my Henry V, not a Ken Branagh's rugby captain at all. A Burton youth, perhaps, dark, violent, and brave. His speech to the Archbishop at the top of the play goes, quote, therefore take heed how you impugn our person, how you awake our sleeping sword of war. We charge you in the name of God, take heed, for never two such kingdoms did contend without much fall of blood, whose guiltless drops are every one a woe, a sore complaint gainst him whose wrongs gives edge unto the swords, that makes such waste in brief mortality. End quote. Shakespeare beautifully saying, do not make me angry, I know what I'm capable of. A bit like the Incredible Hulk. I don't know Daniel Penny. He's young with angel hair. If he was a hero, he'd have shown a remorse I haven't seen, but I haven't looked, and it's not been presented to me. In a country and culture hero-obsessed, I fear he's a caution. He's a Rittenhouse. Now, I think both of these guys are probably very normal young men, ordinary in all ways. It's not their fault, and it is therefore not their fault. It is ours. It is our need. The troubling thing about the pardon thing is it overrides the court decisions that most of us need to abide by. If the superhero president was concerned with justice in the land, and the apologists go long on this, they ask me to believe that the president is there, the single man or woman, to address the wrongs done by the justice system. It's just not true. If that were his motivation, he'd do nothing else. He'd have no time for anything else. All the articles when I entered, quote, what is the rationale behind the executive power to pardon, on page 1, 2, and 3, all jump to Trump with a side swipe at Biden for pardoning the son. In both cases, implying the nepotism and injustice likely in any case. And this is not a knock too far on the presidents. Gerald Ford was a famously decent guy who pardoned Nixon, the demon of that day. Again, as we need the hero, we need the demon. I think that given the corruptions of office, the state organism selects a president once every generation or two to be scapegoated or not. How many Lewinskys hovered about Jack Kennedy? So yeah, it all gets a bit biblical, and you're hearing this from me. The Bible is refreshing. As a layperson, it seems pretty straightforward about David, Solomon, Moses, etc., even about Yahweh. Their thuggeries on display, sinners from whom indeed Jesus might deliver us. It is a fantastic hero story, the Jesus one, and I buy it totally. As there are many corrupt thugs, seething narcissists made heroes, there are, in my imagination, a few really sterling men and women in history, and many people do great things part-time, usually quietly, ducking the spotlight. The problem is, if society announces blondes are best, a lot of hair dye gets bought, especially in a market economy. And of course, if you need heroes, you need villains, and the machine works overtime on that creation too. In a recent tussle on Substack, which gets subber every day, I pointed out that England has many subways too. Much alcohol and plenty drugs, aggressive young men pouring out of pubs and football grounds, and yet, as far as I have searched, no Neelys and Pennies. My time is limited. If you know of a case, let me know. The London Tube is as raucous as the New York subway, in my experience, as fear-inducing, as likely to carry loonies. I'm sure there are people who are very afraid in London too, but there are many, maybe many more, who are not, America. So, and even people as wise as Glenn Greenwald makes the case that Penny choked on behalf of the afraid of America. That is a bottomless pit. He is their hero. This is the unhappy land that needs one. These people are not commending him for protecting the passengers, which might have been done without the killing. They are commending the killing. Maybe it gives them closure. Had a policeman been there, the reason given for the Marine move, and done the same thing, he would have been charged. I don't need to think that Penny intended to kill him. It is accidental or negligent. Had he been charged and had his sentence commuted, my impression is his support would have been white with rage. They want the kill to be justified. That is a world of a mountain of fear. My disputant was so angry she'd not hear me. She Googled me, sent me long accusations against you arty types. A very articulate person, by the way, a vocabulary various and vengeful, full of rage, but full of fear.